Hey everyone, Tyler Sandow, Interventional Radiologist at Ochsner Health. Because I'm dying to get another one of those BackTable hats, I'm going to increase the number of submissions that I do for this tips and tricks competition. The one I'm going to show today is what most people would probably say is Captain Obvious, tip for tips. Now I know ice is all the rage these days, but I'm going to show you an old school technique that's worked with 100% success for us at Ochsner over the last 5 years, and it's direct portal access. We use ultrasound guidance to insert a 21 gauge Chiba needle into whatever portal vein branch we choose to select that we think will give us the most favorable access for the tips down the road. Once we've obtained portal venous access, we'll insert a guide wire from the AccuStick set, followed by the inner portion of the AccuStick system, and then do a direct portal run. When we're satisfied with our portal access, we'll insert the Nitrex wire, an 018 Nitrex wire. We use the radiopaque tip to give us a good target for where we would want to access the portal vein with whatever tips needle you would choose. In our case, we like to use the Colapinta needle, which you can see here. And then we'll just use it to steer directly onto the radiopaque portion of the wire where we'd like to hit it. And this is us completing that portion of the tips here. As you can see, we stuck the portal vein exactly where we wanted to. There's good flow in the portal system, and now we can move on with completing the tips. Although the wire went forward in the portal vein, we can still get a 4 French angle catheter and redirect it how we'd like to go down the portal system so we can appropriately lay the tips. Again, I like to think of this as adding 5 extra minutes to the case to solve for hours and hours of frustration down the road. This is the setup I like to use. Again, it takes about 5 minutes. I scan and prep the right upper quadrant prior to having the tech prep the neck for the case. We start with direct portal access under ultrasound guidance. We'll advance a wire in the inner of an AccuStick into the portal venous system, do a gentle portal run. Then we'll put the radiopaque portion of the Nitrex wire where we would like to access the portal vein for the tips. We lock the wire with the inner introducer in place on a flow switch and then lay the wire and catheter on the patient. Then we move to the neck and get rolling. Here's another case where we applied the same technique. Obviously, this is going to be a much more challenging case because this patient had Budd-Chiari, but we were even able to get into a gentle aspect or a central aspect of the hepatic vein and then try to stay intrahepatic to access one of his very, very small portal vein branches. His right portal vein was incredibly small, but we felt that gave us the best opportunity to give him a tips but maintain portal flow to the remainder of his liver. As you can see here, we use RAO projections to help us guide or know whether or not we're anterior or posterior to the site we need to target, and then we can redirect our needle appropriately. Now, this was a real challenging case, and even though we stuck the wire and got access into the portal vein, where we were within that portal vein, because it was so small, it didn't allow the wire to travel down into the main portal vein so we could set up the tips. So with minimal retraction and redirection, we were able to kind of steer more centrally to the portal vein, which you'll see here. And then again, stick directly on the wire to get good access into the portal vein. And I think this shows another good use or utilization of direct portal access using a radiopaque wire for your tips. And, replacing cases where you may not necessarily need to use ice or may not have ice available to you. One more case, again, showing the same technique with the radiopaque wire and using RAO to identify whether or not we're anterior or posterior. See, the needle was slightly anterior in that case. So rather than trying to turn your needle more anterior, knowing that you're going to miss the portal vein, we actually move the needle a little more lateral. And you can see you're directly puncturing on the wire, and you can see it pop in. And here we are directly in the portal vein, exactly where we want it to be. Now, I don't know if you could tell, but that liver looked as hard as a rock as the needle was trying to advance. And you can even see these angles are not favorable. So I'm going to throw a second little pro tip in here for people that have challenging livers where it's hard to advance your sheath through the system. Now, obviously, everyone has tried to balloon the tract, You've used the introducer from the sheath. You've tried to swallow the balloon. You've used a Lunderquist wire. Well, even in some techniques where that's obviously not going to work, you can see it was hard to even advance a simple balloon across the tract. What you can do is, after ballooning your tract and using all of these other techniques, you can actually use the colapento needle, which needs to stay covered, and you slide it along the wire, and then the sheath will gently advance over that system into the portal vein, which is what we did here. Unfortunately, my tech didn't save the fluoro run showing it, so I couldn't use it for this demonstration. Now, after all that, you're home free, and this is another good example showing the use of direct portal access and the radiopaque portion of your wire for where you want to stick in the portal vein. I'll add this. It's always easy to remove the 3 French introducer of that AccuStick system and the wire. I've had no issues even after completing a TIPS with removing that. We've had 100% success rate using this technique, and I hope you found this helpful if you didn't know it already. Thanks to BackTable for putting this kind of contest and opportunity to share techniques with colleagues across the country. Look forward to seeing everybody else's, and thank you guys.